What is going on YouTube? STIPE here today, and behind me here I have a bunch of JL Wranglers, and today I'm going to be talking about why exactly what you should think about before you buy a Jeep Wrangler. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because I get a lot of the same commentary from a lot of my customers, a lot of people on the channel who tell me the same thing they like and dislike about the Wrangler. So basically I'm going to answer some questions and maybe ask you some questions about stuff that you should ask yourself before you actually consider getting into one of these wonderful JL Wranglers. But before we do get into that, guys, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. As always, I'm coming out with a lot of content about topics like this one today that we're going to be touching upon. So please do smash that subscribe button and we'll get right into it. So yes, JL Wranglers, what do you have to actually ask yourself before you look at purchasing one of these? Now, this doesn't go really for the JK because the JL is a bit of an improvement in quite a bit of categories, in my opinion, than the JK was. So basically what I'm going to be talking about is in the JL, what it struggles with and what it exceeds with, and some expectations that you may have might not be fulfilled really in the JL Wrangler. Looking at the JL Wrangler, there's obviously a 2-door option and a 4-door option. Now, when you're looking at these two options, you really got to ask yourself, is this vehicle just for me? Am I the only one driving it? Do you only want a 4-door because of the looks of it, or do you not really care so much, right? And if you are the only person driving one of these vehicles, keep in mind that if you are going to be driving a 2-door, the 2-door I find doesn't feel wind as much on the highway. Now, however, there is a complaint, and a common complaint you may have read on forums or even in videos you've heard of, that when you're steering these Wranglers, you do feel that it almost has like an oversteer, or it's very sensitive and it kind of sways you in between the lane and pulls you from left to right almost sometimes. And that's not even due to wind, that's just the way the steering is set up on these JL Wranglers. And yes, there have been actually issues with the steering on these JL Wranglers in the earlier stages of them, but it does seem that Chrysler has figured out all of those issues. You have to ask yourself is, are you an SUV person? And the reason why I say this is, yes, a 4-door is a general SUV, and I'll be quite honest with you, if you drive a Pentastar Grand Cherokee and you drive a Pentastar Wrangler, you're not going to see a huge difference in city driving. I find they drive very similar. I like the way this new ZF transmission responds with the Pentastar. It's really helpful as well with fuel mileage and all of that. That's another thing I'm going to touch upon is fuel mileage, because I always get this question, if you know about Jeeps, normally they're not very good on gas. And I'm not saying these are good on gas. They're good for what they are. And what I mean by that is a JK, similarly to something like this one right here, would probably get somewhere in the vicinity of 14 to 16 liters per 100, and that's assuming you've got a pretty good driving habits. And take this from someone who owned a JK actually, and in that same kind of vehicle in a JL, you're looking at 2-3 liters per 100 less. And now for you Americans, if you're looking in miles per gallon, you're going to save about 3-4 miles per gallon, I would say, on average, from, let's say, a JK to a JL. It's definitely going to be some fuel savings there, but in no way are you going to be driving a fuel efficient vehicle. I guess in today's standards, fuel efficient is very high on the miles per gallon scale or liters per 100 scale, and I find that right now Jeep isn't really hitting those scales. So if you are kind of concerned with gas mileage, and you're coming from something maybe like a Corolla, or you're coming from maybe an SUV that is very fuel efficient like a Santa Fe, or something like that, especially if it's a 4-cylinder turbo engine, it's probably going to be a lot more fuel efficient than these. And speaking of 4-cylinder turbo engines, we do have that available in the Wrangler. Yes, that is a more fuel efficient engine. Having said that, it's still not comparable to, let's say, a 4-cylinder turbo SUV in another vehicle. Things that you're gonna like about the Wrangler. Yes, it's the cool factor. That's the whole reason why you're watching this video. You're watching this video simply because of the cool factor. I mean, this is a Willys Wrangler right here. It's really, there's not a whole lot that's special to it besides obviously the graphics package it has, the appearance of it, and those rims and tires. Otherwise, it is a sport Wrangler. It's pretty base. There's not a whole lot to this car. It's got cloth seats, the small touchscreen. There's nothing crazy to this car. There's not like any of the crazy blind spot sensors or anything like that. You're buying this vehicle because of the cool factor of it, and I can totally understand that. I mean, that's why I would consider one, and basically that's really what you have to ask yourself is, are you buying one of these vehicles because of the cool factor of it? And if you are, that's great, right? But I mean, ask yourself these questions. Am I concerned about fuel mileage? Am I coming from a car right now that is very fuel efficient, right? Because there's a more of an expense. Another thing is to check, obviously, to see, you know, does your insurance change a lot going into a Jeep? Some places I find people tell me that their insurance goes up crazy when they went to their Jeep, which surprises me because here in Ontario I find it doesn't really affect it too much. Now Jeeps in general I would say aren't that great on insurance. I mean, I guess maybe because they have that persona still of being very easy to flip over, which again, I've kind of done 5 myths about the JL Wrangler. I'll try and put that at the end of this video, and I'll talk about and I actually talk about that they, you know, they tip over and stuff like that. They really don't. These JLs don't. They don't feel at all like they want to flip over when you're going in a corner pretty quickly with them. Is this a performance vehicle? It's not. This is not a performance car. This is strictly, you know, you're either your daily driver, or this is something you're gonna go mudding with or off-roading with, rock climbing with, whatever. You know, and that's the beauty of them, is the versatility that these cars have. And that's another thing I'm going to say, as far as, you know, a great daily driver for versatility, it's actually really good. You have a lot of leg room in the back. You're pretty comfortable up front. Some people don't like that you sit so close to the passenger next to you up front. I mean, hey, depends on, you know, your opinion on that. There's quite a bit of trunk space. You know, there's gonna be a lot of comments, oh, you know, there's people who just, you know, use them as grocery getters, and that's it. You bought a Jeep, you should use it for off-roading and stuff. You know, I mean, it's your money, spend it the way you want. It really comes down to, like I said, all the stuff you need to really ask yourself, I've pretty much explained here. As far as, you know, maintenance and everything on these Jeeps, it's fairly cheap. Anything, you know, as far as like something like you damage, let's say the bumper, for example, I mean, bumpers are cheap to replace, fenders are cheap to replace on these. Parts and stuff is very cheap on this, and the reason why I say that is because comparable to other cars, I mean, they're not cheap, but compared to other cars, it is a lot cheaper. And the nice part about a Jeep is everything's kind of just bolted together, which is nice. You know, nothing's like one piece, which is pretty neat about them. And you know, if you damage something, you don't have to go OEM, you can go aftermarket, right? I mean, you can change your grill out, your fenders out, your running boards, right? You can add graphics things to the side of your Wrangler, and that truthfully is the beauty of these vehicles. And that might be something else that might persuade you, is if you want to do a lot of aftermarket, you might not want to get a Rubicon, and you might just want to get a Sport and do everything yourself, which I have a lot of customers who have done that, especially guys who are truly going to take it off-roading, or girls who are going to take it off-roading. I actually know this lady who bought a vehicle from me, and she bought a Sport Wrangler soft top JK from me, and what she did was she completely did everything custom suspension. She got done to it, and she ended up spending more than what a Rubicon was worth. But let me tell you, I mean, she showed me videos of her rock climbing. It's unreal. It's unreal what she did, and if that's what you want to do with it, then by all means do that. So anyways, guys, hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Please let me know what you guys think about, you know, if you are in the market and you have questions about the JL Wrangler in particular, ask them below. So thank you for watching the video, guys. As always, I'll be back with more videos. Please make sure you do hit that subscribe button and like the video. Thanks.